Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking about all things real estate, again, especially as it relates to Vancouver Island and the general area around Victoria. And we got some great stuff to talk about.
Yeah, you know what? People in the past have asked me about foreclosures, and I thought a lot of this at the same time. Now, this is a little bit old, right?
Okay.
I would have just come from like a Russ Whitney seminar. Used to be on late night TV, the infomercials.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not watching TV anymore. Like after midnight, I got Netflix or something else, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would see whatever infomercial, and I'd be curious, like, hey, how can I start investing in real estate? And there's some, they would mention foreclosures or finding a list somewhere.
Right.
Like this sort of mysterious, how do you get this kind of secret information, right? And so it doesn't happen too often where people are approach me like, oh yeah, I know somebody who bought a foreclosure and they got a really good deal and those kind of things.
Sure.
But the laws in Canada are not like what they might be in the States.
Sure.
So the courts are set up to protect the homeowner. It's sort of like the last ditch effort to protect the homeowner. The last person representing them is the judge. So anyhow, let's go with this. Like, how do you buy a foreclosure if you so desire?
Sure.
Now, all right, BJ, I want to buy a foreclosure. How do I find these things?
Well, my first question would be, why a foreclosure?
Well, I'm going to get a great deal.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So that's not always the case, first of all.
What do you mean?
And here's the other part is, a lot of people think if it's a foreclosure, it's going to be a disaster, right? And that can happen.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case, right? And when the bank, when there's a court-ordered sale, that's a foreclosure, a court-ordered sale, the bank is not trying to lose money. So they're not like, let's see how low we can go.
Yeah, they're not giving it away.
Right. So they're going to list the property at what they deem as fair market value.
What do you mean? It's not a deal, it's a foreclosure.
Right.
I know, it seems really counterintuitive.
Right.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean you can't get a good deal on a foreclosure that might need a whole bunch of work. To put that in perspective, you can get a good deal on any property that needs a whole bunch of work.
Okay.
Right? I looked at a condo in Oak Bay, under $500,000.
In Oak Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That needs a ton of work.
Yeah.
It's not a foreclosure.
But we're looking at the interior condition of it.
Right.
So you probably need a full remodel.
Right.
It's probably dated.
Right.
Yeah.
So the point of that is, just because it's a foreclosure doesn't mean you're going to get this smoking deal.
Yeah.
Is it possible to get a deal? Sure.
Just as anything else.
Yeah. Years ago, I acted for a client. She bought a foreclosure which was in really rough shape. She lived in it for a year while they, renovated it and got it up to speed, and then sold it and made a good profit.
Sure.
Okay. But the thinking that, okay, I'm going to buy this foreclosure and tomorrow I'm going to buy it and tomorrow I'm going to make $100,000 on it. You may as well just buy a lottery ticket, because your chances are probably about the same.
I've always found looking with people, it's just, we're not looking for a foreclosure. Just it's on the list and it's, oh, by the way, it's a foreclosure.
Right.
And then by the time we go and view the property, it's like, oh yeah, I can kind of tell now. It's usually in some kind of disrepair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about the process. We've gotten to a foreclosure or a situation with a foreclosure because obviously somebody, whatever their situation is, they can't continue to abide by the terms of their contract. So the bank has instituted a court process, and there's been a court-ordered sale.
Yeah.
So what will happen is there will be an agent associated with that, a realtor, associated with that to handle the listing of it and the showings and so forth. And in that context, they are just like any other listing agent. The difference is when an offer comes in on a foreclosure, they're going to submit that offer to the lawyer, and the lawyer is either going to have some instructions ahead of time from the bank, or they're going to go to the bank and say, okay, please give us instructions on how to proceed here.
Okay.
And then there's going to be a response, and then it's a negotiation. And so let's say there's an accepted offer and we have a period of time for conditions. Once those conditions come off,
Okay.
What will happen is that will all be submitted to the court, and there will be a court date at some point, a court date issued. Now, on that day in court, the person who has the accepted offer shows up. Anybody else who wants to write on that property can show up as well.
They can show up on the day that file's being presented.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they'll show up in court, and if there are multiple offers now instead of just that one, so if they come, here's my offer, they're going to have to come with their offer, they're going to have to come with a deposit, and it's going to have to be unconditional.
Right. So unconditional meaning,
here you go, everything's good to go, my deposit is here, and if you go with my offer, I'm the owner.
Gotcha.
There's no subject to financing, none of that. The first offer got to do that.
Right.
Okay.
So you might not have an opportunity, like you better have your financing figured out beforehand,
All of it,
because
yeah.
you don't have a
There's-
condition to
right.
say,
That's right.
oh, and the 3-day rescission period's not going to count either.
Does not apply to court orders.
Does not apply to court orders.
Right.
Right.
So
Okay.
So now you show up in court, and what's going to happen is if there's multiple offers, the agent will talk to the lawyer, and they'll present that to the judge, and they might recommend, or the master, and they'll recommend sealed bids. So
Okay.
everybody every offer goes into an envelope, it goes to the agent, everything gets opened up, they look through everything.
As a buyer, I don't know what the other offers are.
No, you only know what they were at the start. So you know what the accepted offer
Initial.
was,
Yeah.
and
That's probably it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you'll know that you'll see everybody's first offer, right? And then when we say, okay, we're going to sealed bids, okay, and then there'll be a review of those bids, a recommendation made, and one of those offers will be accepted.
Okay. Is a foreclosure, if I'm making an offer to a foreclosure, a court-ordered sale, is that the same as, I know there's a process, we still have conditions, is there anything else that's in addition, so that I would have to worry about before going to court?
Before you go to court, you're dealing with it just like any other normal real estate purchase.
Right.
So your conditions that you get to have as the first one in, your inspection and all these other things. Typically, when it comes to court-ordered sales, they're usually as is, where is.
As is, where is.
Yeah. So
you get what you get,
Yeah.
and you don't get upset.
Right.
Right.
So for example, if you do this and you do an inspection and the hot water tank's got like a day left on it, you think they're going to say, okay.
It doesn't matter.
Right. They're not going to discount the price for that. You can.
Or if the appliances, what if the appliances aren't there when I move in?
It's as is, where is.
It's as is,
Though
where is.
as when you've written the contract, it'll indicate what's included. That part is just like a normal sale,
Right.
right? You're going to write what you want.
So there's no
Fridge, stove, whatever is in that contract is what you expect. You expect that it's going to complete according to the terms of the contract.
Okay. Right, but it's as is, where is. There's no guarantees to any of that. So, like, I know the bank washes their hands of any responsibility for the sale.
Right.
They just want to facilitate getting rid of the property off their books and get the most amount of money that they can recoup from
Right.
it. Yeah.
So that's it in a nutshell. So can you get a smoking deal on a foreclosure? Sure. But can you get a smoking deal on real estate period? Sure. But usually that means you're going to be prepared to put in some sweat equity or put in some money in renovations or something else because there's a reason that that price is so good.
This is what I always tell people. If I ask them when they bring up foreclosures and they want to have a list, like it's a super tedious process to find out which houses are foreclosures or not, right? So if we have 1,000 listings or if we have 5,000 listings, we have to go through them and see who the owners are of each one of those listings. There's no like search parameter easily finding
Right.
which ones are a bank foreclosure.
Yeah.
So you have to daily go through them. It's so tedious. Not that it's a problem. It's just the way it is. So I always ask, like, well, do you want a foreclosure, or do you want to get a good deal, or do you want to buy the house that you want?
Right.
Right. So and those three things might not be the same thing at all.
Right.
Right. So if you need a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house in this area, well, there might be only like 5 or 6 foreclosures, and none of those might be in your price range. Like there might be so few available
Sure.
anyways,
And
right?
yeah, and here's
if
the other
you're-
thing.
Just sorry.
Yeah, cool.
So if you're so concerned about getting a deal,
Yeah.
well, I could tell you how to do that, but you might not get the house that you want.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So you could go around. I don't want to do this. You could go around lowballing everybody, and somebody will eventually take it. Somebody. What are your chances of that? You're gonna have to write like 100 offers
Yeah.
to get one offer accepted.
Sure.
Well, you might be willing to do that, but I promise you it's not going to match up your expectations for what you need to actually live in. Or if you want to flip the thing, there's rules around that too now. We will talk about that in another video.
Yeah.
But like, well, it might not have a good layout. It might cost you too much. It might
Sure.
need too much repair. But
Sure.
you got a good deal. So, you know, it's not an HGTV show.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good way to put it.
So,
The other
sorry.
thing about the thing I was going to say is also the time frame involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not moving in next week or next month usually with a foreclosure, right? You're going to court. Well, there's a court date first.
Right, you have your conditions, you wait, whatever. Usually in that first week, they can set a court date pretty quickly, but it's like, what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Oh, over Christmas time, well, there's no court dates during Christmas.
Right.
So everything gets pushed somewhere into
Right.
January.
Right.
So you don't even know if you've got the house yet. You
Yeah.
still might be competing.
It could be as much as 75 days to a court date.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I guess the thing is, we say all that to say, is there value in court-ordered sales? Well, there can be. Does that mean just because it's a court-ordered sale, you're getting a smoking deal? Not necessarily. I think there are more market-related things that relate to the price of what that property is selling for than the fact or not, whether it's a foreclosure or not, right? So
I've had clients very happy with the foreclosures that they did, that I was able to get with them.
Yeah.
But there's always something they had to put in some extra money or time to make up for, sort of that disrepair.
yeah. So so that's a real simple kind of what to expect when it comes to foreclosures. I don't recommend to my clients that let's specifically go hunting for foreclosures, because I think that's not the only way to do it, right? And I think that you're going, just because you saw this infomercial with Russ Whitney and him telling you that foreclosures are the way to go,
Yeah.
right? That's not necessarily the case.
We're not in the United States. It's handled completely different
Right.
over here.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time. Remember, again, please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, like the video. It'll just help us with growing what we're doing. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments or reach out to us directly. And, we'll be back another time.
Yeah, thanks for watching and spending time with us. We'll see you in the next video.
See ya.